Welcome to the Private Practice Journeys podcast, where mental health professionals learn about the nuts and bolts of private practice by listening to the journeys of 4 therapists that have taken the plunge into private practice. And here's your host, Chris Quarto.
Hey everyone, this is Chris Quarto, and welcome back to Private Practice Journeys. Well, one of the things that I've learned about private practice, being in this field as many years as I have, is the necessity of pivoting. Which is just a fancy way of saying making adjustments in what you're doing. And you know what? Sometimes you have to do that out of necessity. Other times you do it just because you're up for a new challenge. You want to do something different. You want to keep things interesting. And, you know, that's what Debby Simmons did in changing from individual private practice to group private practice. And so today she's going to be talking about some of the things that she's been doing lately in her practice as part of this pivoting process. So without further ado, here is Debby. Hey everyone, this is Chris Quarto. Welcome again to Private Practice Journeys. This week I'm interviewing Debby Simmons. And Debby, welcome back.
Thank you.
And I just want to remind the Journey followers that what we've been doing is over the course of 2017, I've been interviewing 4 therapists, Debby being one of them. Debby's kind of the interesting case here because she'd already been in private practice since 1993, but decided to open a group practice starting at the beginning of the year. So it was really cool to talk to her about what her journey's been like so far, and we'll talk a little bit about that today too. But Debby, before we get into kind of like the nuts and bolts of the practice and what's been happening for you, just wanted to ask just a little bit about what you did this summer. Just one thing that you did this summer that was fun.
One thing that I did this summer that was fun.
Yeah.
I do ballroom dancing, and so I do that. Actually, that's my stress relief anyway. So there was a ballroom dancing event that I was involved in, and I hadn't been to an event in a long time and performed. So that's kind of what I did. I spent a lot of time preparing for that and did that.
Very cool. Was it kind of nerve-wracking?
Yeah. You know, it is. It's always nerve-wracking, but it's just so much. It's just fun. I've been doing it for about 10 years, and you know, I get so much joy out of it. It's
sure.
Just, you know, they say that the cure. Dancing's a cure for everything.
Yes, that's really cool. Well, my cure is taking walks, so it's sort of along the same lines, but it's nice to get that physical activity in, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, totally, it is. But yeah, no travel this summer. We are going to Europe actually next summer. So we're waiting a year for travel.
Okay, well that'll be fun.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Well, listen, I had Amanda and Lisa on the podcast for the past couple of weeks, and asked them a little bit about what updates they had for their practices over the summer months. It's been, I think the last time you and I talked, well, actually, the last time you were on was with Jeff Zimmerman, where we did the expert episodes, and that was way back, I think, at the beginning of June. So why don't you update us a little bit about what's been going on in your group practice since then, Debby?
Okay, well, it's been a little bit of a whirlwind, which has been good, but I took on a 3rd office.
Ooh.
And I've got more people working for me now. So some staffing changes. Lost one person just because she moved out of the area.
Okay.
But that was bittersweet because she was a friend of mine, but it also gave another person an opportunity to really take over some of her clients. So that was nice for that particular person. Right. So, and then I've taken on, let me think, 3 more people, maybe 4 since I last talked before. So we've got a good number of people. I'm done hiring right now.
That takes time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. But we've got a great team, and I feel really good about what we're doing. So I decided we were running into just problems with space, just having 2 offices, which is a good problem to have. Right. So I'm like, I had to get the 3rd office. So that's actually being painted and fixed up right now, and I should be in there by next week.
How exciting!
So so that's been sort of the major changes.
Well, Debbie, if you wouldn't mind, just update the Journey followers a little bit about your group practice and what makes it unique.
So we are, we're called Primrose Healing and Wellness, and the approach that we're taking is a holistic approach to therapy. And so in addition to having therapists on board here, we have a person who does Reiki, massage, yoga. I just hired a massage therapist.
All right.
There's a person who actually spiritual direction, which is a whole nother element of healing that I just hired and brought on. So we're really looking at not just therapy, but we really want to help our clients in all of, as many areas as we can to really, from the holistic perspective, to really help them along their wellness journey.
Yeah, that's quite a practice that you have there, and we've talked about this a little bit before too. And the thing that I was wondering about, I'd asked you about when you go about hiring people. It's going to be different because all the other therapists are just kind of doing their own thing, but you are the group owner, group practice owner, so you have to do hiring, and you just hired this massage therapist. Now, how do you know that this person is going to be the right fit for your practice? I mean, what is it that you do to kind of make that decision, or what are the kinds of things that are important in making that kind of a decision for your practice?
Well, when the person, like this particular person, she actually came from a recommendation from one of the people who are already in the practice. So I trusted that highly. Okay. But when I met her, this particular woman came in pretty much having a good sense of who we were by our website, by our social media presence. And she talked about, basically talk about massage. She talked about her whole concept of wellness and the holistic approach and what that meant for her. So once I got to the point where I felt like she was really on, her and I clicked, then the next part of it was she needed to meet other people on the team.
Okay.
So she wanted to come to a staff meeting, or not a staff meeting, but it's a monthly meeting we have. That didn't work out for her, but she did meet people individually. And everybody who met her sort of did their own interview, and everybody liked her right away. One of our therapists, who I highly respect him, he really wanted to meet her before I even hired her, and he basically said she's exactly what we're looking for. The personality has really got to fit with our group. The thing that's been, we started out, there's a group of us, the four of us that are sort of like the core. Yeah. And we're really like really close friends and a family at this point. Okay. And now, but bringing new people in changes that dynamic. So, but we don't want to lose what we have, but we also know that the person or people coming in have to really want to be part of the dynamic that we already have. Right. And that's a big part of the conversation that we have with the person.
It's interesting because as you were talking about this, I was kind of looking at this from a family systems perspective. And, some component like this can change the whole system, but yet the existing system has to be flexible enough to allow for this new component to come in. And it's really an interesting whole process, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is, because the dynamic really is going to change, because we went from 4 to, I think we're at 9. Wow. So we've more than doubled in size. So it really does, it does change the dynamic. Even one of the challenges is, one of the things that I put out there originally is I want people to be at our monthly meetings. And when there's 4 of us, it was a lot easier. But now making that happen with 9 people, for a variety of reasons, people have very legitimate reasons why they would have to miss the meeting. Right. And I get that, but it also, when you're not at a meeting, you also you miss what goes on in the meeting, and that affects sort of the closeness, because part of what we're doing in meetings is team building and all that. Right. So that's a little bit of a challenge. But I mean, people have real lives, and we have to. So there's the flexibility piece, right? We also have to be flexible in understanding that.
So, I was kind of going to this our second topic about just what new things or additional things have you learned about being a group practice owner since you've expanded? I mean, how has this changed things for you and you as the business owner? What have you had to do differently now?
Well, now I think I'm really getting into the business management part of it, because I'm sort of realized, when I had 4 people, just myself and 3 other people, it's like, oh, this is no big deal. It's just kind of easy. We're working together. These are kind of my friends now. But now it's taking on people who, I feel like one day I said, oh my God, I really have a real business.
Yes.
And I have to think now. I was just talking to my husband, I need to go to an attorney and figure out, some legal things about, just what do I do with business if something happened to me? I need to protect it. And, just things like that. Think about this stuff before. I'm really, I'm paying for more things. My all of my therapists now want to get on the, to get the scheduling software we use for practice, and having me alone on it and 1 or 2 other people was no big deal. But now I'm getting everybody on. That's a big deal. That's another expense. There's more questions that are coming along, more time that I need to spend with each of my people, which I love doing. That's kind of why I'm doing this. I noticed I've seen my client load on some days is a little bit less, which it sort of has to be. But I'm okay with that too, as long as the numbers add up. I'm okay with it.
Right, because you have to have time to manage the practice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's interesting. So that's an adjustment for you, but it sounds like it's an okay adjustment. It maybe it was something that you were expecting, and it's happening now, and things are evolving. And it sounds like you're trying to be flexible in how things are working out here, but it's interesting too that now that with the simple practice you're having to do things differently that way. How about the whole financial management component? What's that been like for you?
Well, at the beginning, I was doing it myself, and I just didn't have the time. And I've got the person who's doing that for me now, and that. I'm still really involved in it, but he's really helping, just with things like just inputting checks and putting together bank deposits,
right?
And, making sure that at the end of the month, the numbers are all adding up. So that's been helpful, because it is time consuming. Even just to sit there and enter a bunch of checks, it's like it still takes time.
Oh, yeah.
So so that's been just again another business piece that has to be looked at.
Let's talk a little bit about social media, because I know in the beginning that you had some, I think your partner and maybe some family members were helping you with social media. I'm not sure if that's still the case, and where's that all at now, Debbie?
That's absolutely the case. Social media is critical. On my website, primrosehealing.com, there is a Facebook badge, and I encourage people to click on that. We are posting on Facebook every single day. And I think it's a good job. We've also added on the website, there's a link for blogs, and so I started doing a blog twice a month.
Okay.
So that's on there as well. Don't know if that's getting them as much press yet, because that's relatively new.
Right.
And our website is actually, just because of the staff changes, our website is we've got to be updating that in the next couple months, because staff has changed a little bit. But Facebook has been really important. We could expand to other sites like Instagram. I just don't know for this type of business if that would be helpful or not. For the money that I would have to put out a month to do that. So. But again, that social media presence is really critical.
How has Facebook been important for your practice, Debbie?
Well, what it's done, and it's interesting how it works, and I didn't even understand this, because I was like, well, who's going to like this? Like, I didn't think the people would really be liking the site, because it's like, if people are your clients, I would think, well, clients aren't really going to like it, because that sort of says that, well, I'm going to therapy, and there's a confidentiality thing.
Right.
But the people that I'm finding that are really liking it aren't necessarily my clients. It's other people in the community. And what I've learned about Facebook is, in order to get yourself up there noticed, you have to have a lot of likes. And it doesn't matter who's liking it. The goal is you want to get people to like it or to follow it. Because I was saying to somebody who was helping me, I don't even know these people. He's like, well, that's the point.
Yeah. It's a lot to learn, though, isn't it? I mean, if you really hadn't been into this stuff in the past, and it's all new to you, but you know that it's important. It's one of those things that you do in the evolution of practice and trying to enhance and develop your practice. And it sounds like you're finding that to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, I've got these, Facebook notices saying, your page is doing better than most. And then, because I have another Facebook page too, which was my own individual one.
Okay.
And I always kept getting notices how, your Facebook page could be doing better. So there's a real contrast.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, listen, I want to give you the opportunity to tell clients how to go about getting a hold of you, or maybe even other therapists if they want to pick your brain about group private practice and give them some pointers or whatever. How can people get a hold of you?
Absolutely. My website's probably the first place, is primrosehealingandwellness.com. And then all of my contact information is on there, as long as, like I said, like the Facebook badge, because we need that.
Okay.
And, through Facebook, they call me directly, they can email me, all that stuff's there.
Wonderful. And we'll make sure and put that in the show notes so it's easy for people to get to. So, well,
Great,
Debbie, thanks so much for being a part of this again, and just really being a part of this throughout the year. This has been a real interesting sort of process for me to go through, and I hope for the listeners as well. And we'll have a few more episodes before we wind this up for 2017. But thanks for coming on again this month.
Oh, great. No, it's been fun.
Good. Thanks, Debbie. All right, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Debbie. And, just kind of reflecting back on what I was talking about at the beginning of the episode in terms of pivoting. As you listen to Debbie talk about her group practice, I think the major pivot for her has been in her role. She's now a business manager, and she's not been able to do as much individual work as she's done in the past, counseling-wise, and now she's having to manage all these people that she's hired. And I think it's a really neat thing for her. She enjoys it, and this is nice. It keeps things fresh for her. It's a new challenge, and really nice to see how successful her practice has been over the course of 2017. And she's had to make some changes as well, just hiring some new people, and but it sounds like she's very careful about doing this, making sure that people she hires agree with her philosophy and the philosophy of the practice, and making sure everyone clicks with one another. So really neat to see what she's doing. Well, if you'd like the show notes for today's episode, please visit my website, chrisquarto.com, ChrisQuarto.com. And you'll be able to listen to this or past episodes if you haven't listened to any of the previous ones before. And as I've mentioned the last couple of weeks, make sure that you listen to the special episodes where each of the 4 therapists on Private Practice Journeys was paired with an expert in private practice development. There's really a lot to learn, and especially if you listen to Debbie's episode or podcast episode interview with Jeff Zimmerman. Other than that, have a great rest of the week.